Have you ever wondered how the European Union keeps its massive 27-country economy from, flying off the rails? It's a huge operation. Well, today we're pulling back the curtain on the EU's system of economic checkups, and we're going to use Luxembourg as our main example. So, first things first, why does the EU even bother playing doctor with a country's economy? It's a great question. And really, it all comes down to how deeply connected all the member countries are, especially those using the euro. Think of it like this. If one country gets economically sick, say it starts spending way more than it brings in, that illness can spread. It can mess with the euro, it can shake up its neighbors. It's a real problem. So the EU steps in to do regular checkups, just to catch any issues before they get serious. So let's talk about these economic doctors, or as they're more formally known, the money watchers. The whole system is called fiscal surveillance, and it's pretty much the backbone of how the EU manages its shared economy.
Okay, don't let the term fiscal surveillance intimidate you. All it really means is that the EU has a process for keeping an eye on the economic health of its members. The goal here isn't to punish anyone, not at all. It's all about prevention. It's about spotting risks early on, before a country's debt spirals out of control, to keep the entire bloc stable and healthy.
And, just like any good doctor would, the EU asks each country for a long-term health plan. We're not talking about a quick fix here. This is all about laying out a multi-year strategy for how they're going to stay economically fit and build for the future.
Right, and the official name for this health plan is a bit of a mouthful. It's called the National Medium-Term Fiscal Structural Plan. But let's just break that down. It's basically the country's detailed workout routine. It covers everything. Government spending goals, major reforms they're planning, big investments, the whole shebang.
Now, what's really important here is that this is not the EU just dictating rules from on high. It's more of a conversation. See, the EU gives some general guidance first. Then, the country itself drafts its own plan. After that, the European Commission takes a look, assesses it, and finally, the Council gives it the green light. It's a whole back and forth to make sure the plan is both solid and actually achievable. So you've got this great plan, fantastic. But a plan is pretty useless if you just stick it in a drawer and forget about it, right? Of course. That's exactly why there's an annual check-in. It's a yearly cycle to make sure everyone's on track and sticking to what they promised. And this whole thing runs like clockwork. There's a very clear timeline. By the end of April, every country has to hand in a progress report. Then comes the big one. By mid-October, they submit their draft budget for the next year. And finally, by the end of November, the Commission weighs in with its official opinion. Basically, it's the moment they say, yep, you're on the right path, or, we need to talk. Okay, so we've got the framework, we've got the schedule. Now let's see how it all plays out in the real world. Let's get to our case study, Luxembourg. What was the final diagnosis from its latest economic checkup? This is really the moment of truth. Is the country following its plan? Are its finances looking good? Is the economic doctor about to give a thumbs up? Or are they about to prescribe some pretty tough medicine? And the results are in. For Luxembourg, it's a clean bill of health. The official verdict is that it is not subject to an excessive deficit procedure. Now that sounds important, but what exactly is that, and why is avoiding it such great news? Okay, so this excessive deficit procedure, or EDP for short, is basically the EU's big red alarm bell. It gets triggered when a country's spending gets way out of line with its income, or its national debt gets dangerously high. It's the economic equivalent of a doctor saying, whoa, this is serious, we need to step in and order some urgent treatment, right now. So the fact that Luxembourg avoided this, that's a huge sign that its public finances are stable. So, Luxembourg gets a gold star. That's great for them. But why does everyone else in the EU care so much? Why go through all this trouble? Well, to get that, we need to zoom out and look at the bigger picture. Here's the bottom line. It matters. Because when one country is financially stable, it strengthens the entire bloc. This whole system helps coordinate policies, sure, but most importantly, it acts like a firewall. It stops one country's economic problems from starting a chain reaction, a domino effect that could pull down its neighbors. So at the end of the day, this framework creates one common standard for economic health, but it's applied to 27 very different economies. And that leaves us with a really fascinating question to think about. Can one standardized checkup, a single routine, really be the right fit for such a diverse family of nations? Something to chew on. Thanks for tuning in.